If you've been wanting to create a coaching business, but you feel like imposter syndrome is holding you back, then today's video is for you. We're going to unpack what imposter syndrome is exactly, and I will give you some action steps that you can take in order to break free from it, so that you can finally do something about this idea that you've had for ages and create that successful coaching business, inshallah. If you're new here, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sumaya. I'm the founder of The Healed Sister, which is a coaching business that generates 6 figures, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And what I do now is train Muslim women to certify as breakthrough coaches so that they can also create their successful business and finally live a life that they are actually excited about. Okay, so before I get into it, I just wanted to let you know that I have a brand new training for you. It's 20 minutes, it's free, and it's a clarity check that is going to tell you exactly what are the 3 areas that you need to master in order to create a coaching business that's going to be successful. And it's also going to allow you to assess yourself so that you can see where you stand. If you want that training for free, just comment clarity under this video and I'll send you the link to get it. So, what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is a persistent feeling that you are a fraud. It's this nagging sensation that you do not deserve the success that you have, that you are not as talented and as skilled as people think you are, that you don't deserve the opportunities that are coming your way, and that everything that is coming to you is actually a matter of chance and that you have nothing to do with it. There's a study by the Behavioral Journal that shows that 70% of people will struggle with imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. Studies will also show that women in leadership positions will have a lot more internalized self-doubt, which is interesting because you would think that imposter syndrome is only for people who don't necessarily have a lot of responsibilities, but it's the opposite. The more you have those responsibilities, the more you doubt yourself, especially as a woman in power. Now that we've clarified what imposter syndrome is, if you feel like this is something that you're struggling with, this sensation that you don't deserve to be successful or that you're not qualified to be where you want to be as a coach, then the next thing and the first step to dismantling this obstacle is to ask yourself, where is that coming from? Why do I believe that I'm a fraud? What makes me feel like I am an imposter? Is it your age? Is it your background? Is it the fact that you've never coached anyone before? If you're thinking you're a fraud as a coach because you don't have enough knowledge, or you don't have enough life experience, or you don't have enough achievements under your belt, then you have misunderstood what coaching is, because coaching has nothing to do with these things. Coaching is all about 4 fundamental skills. Number 1, active listening. Number 2, the ability to create a non-judgmental space and presence. Number 3, practicing silence when needed, and it's very much needed. And number 4, asking powerful and relevant questions. That's coaching for you. Nothing to do with your age, nothing to do with your certifications, with your life experience. No, if you can do those 4 things, then you have the capacity to coach. And just the action of reframing what coaching truly is might help you realize that your imposter syndrome is not funded. It's not necessary. It's not relevant anymore. You were just asking yourself the wrong question, which is, how much do I know? The real question is, how much am I capable of creating a safe space for someone? And if the answer to that is, I absolutely can do that, I've done it, then that's it. You're good. You're good to go. Forget about imposter syndrome. Ask yourself that question, where is this imposter syndrome idea coming from? Once you've done that, step number 2 is to take small actions to prove to yourself that you're not a fraud. Because yes, mindset shifts are important, but you can do all the journaling, all the reflecting, all the inner work that you want. If you don't actually take action, nothing is going to change. The real antidote to imposter syndrome is taking action on the thing that you think you are being a fraud about. So for example, if you are struggling with imposter syndrome because you think you're not going to be a good coach, why don't you ask your friends what they think about it so that they can offer you a perspective that is different from yours on yourself, because it's limited. You have a lot of blind spots. Your friends will be able, if they are honest with you and if they see you for who you are, they'll be able to give you an impartial and neutral opinion on this idea of becoming a coach. What about practicing the skills that I mentioned earlier in your day-to-day life as well, to see if you're good at them, if you're enjoying doing that in your personal life, if it's bringing results and benefits to your friends and family, then that will give you a boost of confidence already. If your struggle is with feeling like you don't know enough in order to become a coach, then go and get the books and the trainings that you need in order to not struggle with that anymore. Like, I'm not a big fan of seeking knowledge constantly to the point where you don't do anything, you don't coach, you don't practice the skills. I think it's about balance. Especially at the beginning, you do need a space where someone is telling you exactly what you should know about being a coach and what steps you should take in order to be successful. Once you've got that, then alhamdulillah, and even while you're getting that knowledge, you should be practicing. But if right now you feel like you have zero knowledge, then go and get the knowledge. There's loads of books about coaching, there are loads of certifications. The one that we offer is one of them. So do something about it. If your struggle and your imposter syndrome feeling is coming from the fear of not knowing anything about marketing, for example, like a lot of our trainees, they'll come into the Thriving Coach and they'll say, I'm not tech savvy, I don't know how to use social media, and so on and so forth. Why don't you just start by picking a platform that feels right with you, one that you like using and you like consuming the content from, and starting to share whatever you're learning on your personal growth on that platform in the way that feels right for you. You don't have to show your face, you don't have to use your voice, you can do it however is right for you. What matters is that you start sharing your truth in some sort of way so that you remove the fears associated with that, if that's what's creating the feeling of being an imposter. And all of this reminds me of a particular trainee, Nazish, who's doing amazing at the moment, alhamdulillah. She said this about her experience joining the Thriving Coach certification. In the beginning, I was very nervous. There were a lot of self-doubts and imposter syndrome. But I loved how the first module was all about overcoming mental blocks and eliminating limiting beliefs. This gave me a boost of confidence that I can do it. So step number 1 is the mindset stuff, okay? Then Nazish said, my biggest struggle was going into action. The fear of people judging, commenting, fear of not being good enough, all of them stopped me from implementing action. I love how TTC is all about action in the second module. First mindset, then do something about what you're learning about your mindset. Take action. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh my God, Sumaya is speaking to me, I am a master procrastinator. And if you are the type of woman that is waiting for confidence to be injected in her magically, just stop it. Stop waiting. It doesn't work like that. Just start by doing something small. It doesn't matter what it is. Just start in any way, in a quiet way, in a loud way, as long as you do something. Because that's how you become a coach. It's not when you feel ready. It's when you overcome the fear and do it anyway. So we've seen step 1 was about asking yourself what was the source of the imposter syndrome. Step 2 is about taking a small action regarding that. Step 3 is actually asking yourself, is it really imposter syndrome that I'm struggling with? Because a lot of the time, imposter syndrome is self-sabotage in disguise. We tell ourselves, I'm struggling with imposter syndrome, I feel like a fraud. But if we dig deeper, there's actually a fear of failure, maybe a fear of success, a fear of being judged. And I'm saying that because I've seen a lot of sisters join the Thriving Coach certification with this conviction that they have imposter syndrome, when in reality, they just fear putting themselves out there. And those are very different things. The fear of being rejected if you put an offer out is not the same thing as having imposter syndrome. And if you're able to name the fear, then you can work on it accordingly. So ask yourself, is it really imposter syndrome? Or is it a protective mechanism that I'm putting in place, but which is actually stopping me from growing? Step number 4 is about understanding that this has nothing to do with you. I know it might sound harsh, but coaching is not about you as a coach. It's a client-centered practice. It doesn't matter how you feel about yourself. It doesn't matter how unqualified you think you are. It doesn't matter how confident you are, how young or not experienced you are. What matters truly is the space that you create for the client. Coaching is about presence, safety, and curiosity. And if you can create that space with those skills, you're already doing something amazing. And honestly, anyone at any given moment in time can be a coach if they're able to create a space where they're actively listening to someone and helping them find answers within themselves. So don't have the arrogance to think that you are the one creating results. Allah creates results, not you. And it's actually your ego that's saying, I need to be better, I need to know more, I need to have more certifications before I get to coach people. That's not humility, that's actually fear. Detach from that. And remember, it's not about you, it's just about those skills and that space. And finally, step 5 to get rid of imposter syndrome is to ask yourself, what would my life look like if I didn't even know what imposter syndrome is about? Because a lot of the time, we attach the idea of imposter syndrome to our identity. We'll say casually, yeah, I definitely have imposter syndrome, or we'll say, yeah, I'm filled with self-doubt, as if it was this chronic illness that we couldn't get rid of and we couldn't treat. But it's not the case. Imposter syndrome is actually hiding a story and thoughts that you have embraced, and that narrative has been learned by you, and just the way that it has been learned, it can be unlearned very easily, inshallah. So what if we imagine that you were not an imposter, and the new story that we told ourselves would be that you are actually just a beginner? Now ask yourself the questions: how would you show up differently? How would you coach? How would you market yourself? How would you talk about your offer? All of that, of course, would be impacted if you didn't even think that you had imposter syndrome in the first place. So it's all about not accepting this as a part of who you are and reclaiming your right to create a different story for yourself. You just need to stop believing the lie that you're not good enough. And I assure you, it is 100% possible to do this work. I've seen it in so many sisters who have joined the Thriving Coach certification with so many doubts. And they would come in knowing and thinking deeply that they had huge imposter syndrome and no skills to be doing this work. And just 3 weeks within the certification, they would be holding space for their clients and coaching other sisters in a way that would leave them in tears. Not in a bad way, just in a way that they would create so many breakthroughs and insights, subhanAllah. It's not that my trainees become other people. They don't change who they are. They just start understanding and believing that their presence is enough. So if this video is speaking to you as well, remember that you can take the next step and get my clarity check. 20-minute video. I'm going to walk you through the 3 areas that you need to master, and I will guide you to assess yourself on where you stand so that you can know what to work on and what you've got covered. Now, if you're not ready to take action and you just want to watch another video, I've got loads on coaching. Maybe you're asking yourself, am I healed enough to coach people? I've got the answer to that question, and I'll put that video in the description box below, inshallah, if you want to watch it. That's it for now. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me how your imposter syndrome sounds like so that we can tackle it together and get rid of it. And I will see you in the next video, inshallah. Ma as-salama, beautiful.